Hello friends, my name is McKenna and welcome to Knit Between the Lines, a knitting podcast. This is a podcast where I talk about what I'm knitting on, what I'm spinning, and my love for other fiber arts. So grab whatever project you're working on and let's jump into it. First, let's talk about what I'm wearing, which is my first finished object for this episode, and that is the Nightlight Shawl by Andrea Mowry. Last time I showed this to you guys, I was just over halfway finished with this shawl, and I busted through the rest of it. I absolutely love how it turned out, and it's so much fun, and it's such a fun accessory to wear, and I just knew I had to put it on for today's episode. Let's see. The yarn that I used was actually the original yarn suggested for the pattern, as well as Andrea's original color palette that she used for her sample. And the dark yarn that you see is actually a dark black green from Harrisville Yarns in their Nightshade line, and it's in VCR. So it is a black yarn, but it also had some green blended into the fiber before it was milled into a yarn. So it looks black probably from a distance, but when you actually look at it, it's a very, very like black green color. And then the color changing yarn you see is Spincycle's Dream State in Light Years. I just love this colorway from Spincycle. This is the first time I'm actually knitting with it, but I really, really enjoyed it. And I really liked the color distribution I got for this project specifically, because I still got those like characteristic neon greens, but probably the favorite colors that I've gotten in this project from Light Years is like the minty greens and the blues. Those were like probably my favorites as I was knitting it up. But this is essentially a very long triangle shawl, so it's not like your typical triangle shawl where you end up having about 300x stitches on your needles at one time. It's kind of super skinny and long. You don't have as many stitches on your needles all at once, so it doesn't feel like such a slog as you're knitting it. And it's using this slip stitch motif to get the checkerboard-esque vibe, which is essentially like, it's essentially a form of mosaic knitting. And I had so much fun knitting on this. I honestly could not put it down. So I'm super stoked that it is finished. I also love just how structured it is. Most of the shawls I've knit in the past have been very drapey, but I kind of like how this one sits up by itself just because of the nature of the yarn from Harrisville. It's a woolen spun yarn, so it has just a little more like structure to it, and I really, really like it. I just can tell that when it starts to get really icky and cold here, that this is going to be something I grab for a lot because it's warm and it's going to do a really good job at like protecting my neck and my face because it's going to stay where I put it. So loved knitting this, loved the way that it looked, highly recommend. Yeah, this was such a fun knit. I kind of want to do another one. If I do, it won't be for a while, but I also just love mosaic knitting, so if you're ever intimidated by color work, I recommend trying mosaic because you're only ever working with one yarn at a time. I feel like it is such an approachable color work project for a beginner, especially if you want something substantial to wear at the end of the day, but highly recommend. It was so much fun. I loved the colors. I love the way it turned out. And this is definitely something that's a little more dynamic and bright for me personally, but I honestly love it. Like, I'm definitely going to wear this so much when the weather starts to turn. I'm so excited. So while we are on the topic of FOs, I also finished my Doppio by Seunghee. And when I showed this to you guys last podcast episode, I literally had just the cuff left. So it did not take me very long to finish it, and I was very determined to finish it. I'm pretty sure I have casted it off that night and we've woven all my ends and blocked it because I was like, I'm so stoked for this to get done. And when I tell you, when I tried this on, it very much gave the like sweatshirt feel that everyone was talking about. And I will be knitting another one because it is so cozy. Let me just show you. Here she is. It is so lovely and it has relaxed so much after blocking. It has such a nice weight to it because it is 2 fingering weights and a suri or a mohair held together. So there's like a good like heaviness to it, and I can just like picture in the middle of like November, it is dark, it's rainy, it's cold, and I just want something very comforting and cozy, I will be throwing this on. It is so nice, it is so soft, and it fits so well. Absolutely gorgeous. And I think the marl came out so nice. I feel like this is gonna look so good. I am excited to do another one with maybe a slightly more intense marl. I know that was my issue last time and why I ended up buying new yarn, but the yarn that I have currently, I think I just chose the wrong colors for like I liked the colors I had chosen, but I think I should have swapped which one was my Surrey. I think that was my issue. So my next Doppio that I make, the Surrey is going to kind of chill out that intense marl like this one did. So really excited. Let me tell you the yarn that I used. The yarn that I ended up using, which I'm sure if you've been here for a while you already know, but just in case you're new here, I used Explorer Knits and Fibers Denali Sock in their colorway Botanicals, which is the lighter color in the sweater, and Catch of the Day, which is like the darker blue. And then for my Surrey, I used Explorer Knits and Fibers, but it's from their Iceland Re-Dye in Skogafoss, which is a really beautiful, like dusty blue-green almost, but it has like elements of purple in it as well, which like you can't see it in the sweater because it was so slight. But they worked so well together to give this really beautiful, just like blue marled sweater. And I love it. I knit the size 5 and I believe I ended up with 4 inches, 3 to 4 inches of positive ease. I've not actually gone through and like remeasured it or anything, but it would have given me 3 to 4 inches of positive ease, and the suggested ease was 2 to 5 inches. At the time, I felt like 2 inches was a little too fitted for me, especially for like what vibe I was going for with this sweater. So I'm really glad that like the size 5 hit me right in the middle of that range. And I do think it blocked out a little bit larger just because of how heavy the actual garment is, but I'm not mad about it. And the neckline is really nice and squishy because it's a double folded neckline, and it kind of goes around like, it's not quite a mock neck, but it's not super open either. It very much does give that like sweatshirty feeling and fit and style, but really enjoyed it. Pattern was so well written. I had such a good time. Yeah, I will be wearing also the crap out of this. I'm so excited. I think it's gonna look very good on me with my skin tone too, so catch me wearing this all the time when we hit the wet gray Portland fall and winter. So if you at all are curious about this pattern, or you want to knit a like marled sweater, I definitely recommend you check out this pattern. It is so fun, and because you're holding either a DK weight and a Surrey together or 2 fingering weights and a Surrey together, you don't need a lot of yarn. I think I only ended up going through like 2.5 skeins of each of my fingering weights, and also like a little over 2.5 of my Surrey. So, I mean, it didn't take up all that much, and it's such a large gauge that it really does kind of knit itself, and it's quick too. So if you're in the need for a marl sweater or something that's just gonna knit up really fast, definitely recommend the Doppio. It is a well-known and well-loved pattern for a reason. So that's all I have for finished objects, but they were 2 pretty big projects, I think. I've been working on them for a second, not too terribly long, because they were both larger gauge patterns with thicker weight yarn, and that was definitely something I feel like I needed. I'd been knitting on lighter weight yarn for a while, especially after my Traveler hoodie, which was a sport weight project, and just the Traveler hoodie, the Traveler series really in general just eats up a lot of yarn, and it's a labor of love and it takes a lot of time. So having these patterns really was a nice refresh for me because they were quick knits and they were super enjoyable, and like one I could just work on while I was watching TV when I didn't really need to pay attention to anything. Good stockinette project. And then this one was just interesting enough to kind of keep me entertained, if that makes sense, because of the slip stitch mosaic aspect of it. It really kept me like intrigued the whole time. So it was good to have something where I could turn my brain off, and then something that kind of kept me interested a little bit as well. So on that note, let's jump into some whips. So my whip that I want to show you guys is actually something you have not seen yet. I cast this on right before my mom came into town at the end of August because it was a really hot week in Portland. It had been hot in Portland for a while, and I had just been knitting on and finished 2 projects that were wool and heavier weight projects. So I really needed something that wasn't gonna be like miserable to knit on. So what did I do? Cast on a summer project at the end of summer because, you know, why not? So I ended up starting the Sunshine Tee by Andrea Gaughan. This has been a project that I've seen quite often actually as a popular t-shirt pattern. There are 2 people at my knit night that had knit theirs last year, and I loved the way that theirs turned out, and they were telling me about how great the fit is. So I definitely knew this was something I wanted to knit this past summer, but I was actively working on other projects, and I knew I wasn't going to give it the time it needed if I cast it on like before I did just now. It was kind of a treat to myself after finishing these 2 heavier weight projects to cast on something a little lighter, especially with how hot it was, that wouldn't be so miserable to knit on. The yarn I'm using is Knitting for Olive's Cotton Merino, and this yarn is probably one of my favorite summer yarns to use because it is mostly cotton, but I want to say there's like a pretty good percentage of wool in there as well, which gives it just enough of the wool qualities where it won't stretch out because of the cotton. It still has that like temperature regulating aspect of wool as well. It gives it all the positive things of wool without the really, really hot itchiness of it all, if that makes complete sense. But the yarns I chose for my main color, I'm using Dusty Whale. Sorry, the lighting in our office is a little dark, but it is Dusty Whale, which is this really pretty like heathered navy blue. And then I'm doing the striped version, but I'm doing 2 different colored stripes. So my stripes are in this pink, which is called Ballerina, and this blue, which is soft blue. And I feel like together it is quite a lovely color palette. So I was like, I need to cast this on as soon as possible, but I was like, I can't cast this on while I'm doing all this other stuff. So now, since I've kind of cleaned out my works in progress, I have now officially casted it on. Here she is. Da-da-da-da. We love her. So I've made quite a bit of progress on this, even though it is a fingering weight project. I have made a ton of progress. I basically think I want to say I had most of the back already completed by the time my mom came into town, and I had casted it on like maybe a day or 2 before she even came in. But it is super, super lovely. It is a continuous construction, so you work your back yoke first and you do the underarm shaping, and then you put all those stitches on hold and you pick up for your shoulders, combine them into the front or join them in the front, you knit down for the front yoke, and then you do the underarm shaping for the front yoke as well, and then you join in the round. So that is a construction that I'm relatively familiar with, but it is a construction that I feel like fits me rather well. I am doing something new in this project though. Andrea does give the option of doing bust darts. Let me see if I can or bust shaping. It's kind of hard to see it, but you can kind of see where these stripes are converging here, and it's happening over here as well too. That is the bust shaping. This is optional. She mentions that if you like the fit of t-shirts where there are no bust shaping, great, go for it. But if you think that it might be something that'll fit you a little bit better, she does recommend it. And she walks you through how to measure your chest in order to determine if bust darts are a good fit for you. And there's 2 different cup sizes that you can follow. I am doing the first bust shaping, or the cup 1 bust shaping, and that is because the difference of my upper chest measurement and my full bust is over 2 inches. Yeah, so she says if the difference is greater than 2.75 inches, you'll work cup 1 bust shaping, and if the difference is greater than 5.25 inches, you'll work cup 2 bust shaping. And my difference was 3 inches. So I opted to do the bust shaping. So I'm really intrigued to see how the fit is. I've heard a lot of people say that when they do bust shaping, they do feel like the end product suits them and fits their body a lot better. So I'm very interested to see how it fits. But I am chugging on the body now. I want to say, oh, I'm probably like 2-3 inches into the body, and I haven't decided how long I am going to knit this because the cropped version of this sweater is very, very cropped, and the full length version is also kind of cropped. So I think what I'll do is I'm gonna knit it to the full length option, and I'm going to try it on and kind of see where I land. I do like my shirts to be just a smidge cropped. I like them to hit me right at like where I'm smallest on my waist, and that is because I do have a long torso, and I find that that tends to break up my long torso enough and looks very flattering on me. But that being said, I also have a long torso, so I think the cropped version of this in the pattern is going to be too cropped for me because of my long torso and my larger chest. So we're gonna have to play around with it a little bit, I think. I was warned by one of the people that knit this pattern at my knit night that she also felt it was quite cropped, and she urged me to buy an extra skein of yarn just in case I wanted to lengthen it, which I definitely went ahead and did just so I didn't have to worry about dye lots later on. And especially now with the tariff and duties and de minimis fees that are happening for the US with foreign products right now. Knitting for Olive is a Danish company, or a Dutch company, and Starlight does sell Knitting for Olive, and they are still planning to ship to their US stockists, but the prices may increase because of all of this new administration and policies. So I'm glad I grabbed the extra skein when I did, so I don't have to worry about it later. But I know that if I just like hunker down on this project, I can probably finish it here in the next couple weeks before summer is really, really over. It is still quite warm here. We are on the verge of a cool down, which is really exciting. But unfortunately, that makes me want to cast on fall projects. And if I cast on fall projects right now, I will not finish this t-shirt. It will sit in my closet until next year, and I can't do that. I have to finish it. But to assuage my need for working on fall projects, I did swatch for them. So let me show you my swatches. I am like so excited about these, and I probably made the mistake of swatching because now all I can think about are these projects. But if you have watched my fall project planning video, head over there because I go into quite a bit of detail about all the patterns that I am planning to knit this fall and probably into winter. I have a lot more details about the actual aspects of each of the patterns, but I got so excited after making that video that I really wanted to swatch for at least the two that I'm the most excited about and will be casting on as soon as possible after I finish this t-shirt. So let's jump into the first one. So my first swatch is for the Oversized Seasons cardigan by Ozetta, and it is a half fisherman's rib cardigan that I think just looks so freaking cozy and is going to give me all of the cozy vibes this fall, especially because of the yarn that I chose to knit it in, and that is Fireside by Hue Loco. It is their Cozy in Colorado collection. It is kind of hard to see the swatch because of the lighting in my office, but look at it. It's so stretchy, it's super freaking squishy, and I'm just like, I can envision myself in a freaking pumpkin patch in October in this cardigan living my best fall life. Like, it's giving me all of the vibes. Like, I love the color, I love the texture, it's so soft, it's so cozy and squishy. I finished this swatch and I kid you not, I have not been able to not think about it, and all I want to do is cast this on and start on it immediately, which is why I know that if I did, that t-shirt would literally never get done because all I would want to do is work on this project. But I'm super, super excited. I do plan on knitting, I think, the size 5, which is going to give me 7 inches of positive ease. All I want to do is cast this on. Swatching for it made me excited, and it just is going to give me motivation to finish my sunshine tee, but so excited about this. It's going to look so good. I already have buttons for it and everything. I cannot wait to be able to cast this on once my sunshine tee is completed. The other swatch that I did was for the Pressed Flowers Shawl by Amy Christoffers. I also talk about this pattern in my fall project planning video, so if you want some more details about the pattern itself, head on over there. But here is my swatch. It looks so good! So the yarn I'm using is made by Hailey Bailey's Classic DK in the color Anthocyanin, which is this like purpley brown color, and then Muslin Moth, which is like this purpley taupe color for the flowers. And that just looks so good. The pressed flowers texture and like color work motif has always been something I've enjoyed. I have the pressed flowers cardigan already knit up that I did last year for fall, and I loved knitting it and I love wearing it, so I'm super excited to be able to knit this pattern again. It is mosaic knitting, very similar to this nightlight shawl, so you're only ever knitting with one color at a time, which is really, really nice. It definitely takes off some of the stress that color work can have sometimes, but I just think this color combination is going to be so cozy for the fall. Like, again, middle of November, it's gray and gross outside, but I have to go to work or go to the bus to go somewhere, and I just want to make sure that I'm all wrapped up and super cozy, and I can just like see myself all nestled in a shawl with these colors, and it's going to be so freaking nice. I'm so excited. I just want to cast them both on right now, but I can't because I'm not going to be able to finish my other stuff. Oh, God. As soon as it hits September, I'm always ready for all the fall knits, so I did myself dirty by casting on this summer knit so late, but I'm almost done with it. I just gotta stay strong and push through, so hopefully by next podcast episode, the sunshine tee will be completed and I'll have 2 new fall projects on the needles to share with you. Okay, so my only other whip that I have was actually kind of an impulse cast on, and that is just these super, super cute little vanilla socks. The yarn is from Tiny Human Knits, which is a Canadian dyer. This is her Scrappy Quilt colorway, which I think is so freaking cute. She's done a couple redyes of this because it was just so well received by everybody for obvious reasons, because it's literally so cute. I love this color palette so much. It's so fun. It really does give me the like heirloomy family feeling of a scrappy quilt that your grandma might make for you, especially when you were like a kid. But this was a impulse cast on because a group of my friends and my husband, we decided to go to a Hillsborough Hops game last weekend, not this weekend, but the past weekend, and they're like they're a minor league team. They're not very good. We were just going for the vibes. It was also their Hispanic appreciation game, and one of our friends is Mexican, so she was very excited to go and like get to experience like her culture and everything. But I just knew that like sitting at a game for a team that wasn't that good for at least 2 to 3 hours was going to be unbearable if I didn't have something to do with my hands. So last minute I decided to wind up this yarn and cast on a pair of socks so I had something to work on. And this is like, I kid you not, I was in the car casting on the cuff, and by the end of the game I had this much knit. So I have the whole ankle knit, the heel flap and gusset, or the heel flap, and now I'm working on the gusset. So I'm very much glad that I had something to do, because even by the end of it, my friends were like on their phones trying to like pass the time to like until the game ended. So very glad that I brought this with me. It was very funny when we were picking everybody up. They saw my little like setup because I have this really cute little like cake holder, and the handle like unsnaps. So I had it threaded through my little fanny pack, and they were like, "Of course you have a knitting setup." I was like, yeah, I do. Who do you think you're talking to right now? They thought it was so funny that I was like prepped and ready, and that I was even bringing knitting to a baseball game. And I was like, I don't think you realize how many knitters will bring their knitting to sporting events. Like, I am not the only one, you guys. You may think I'm crazy, but I'm not, I promise. So this is probably just going to be something I grab like for car knitting, especially with the sunshine tee, because I am doing alternating striping colors. It is kind of fiddly to bring places because I kind of have to do a lot of yarn management. So these socks will be really nice to kind of bring with me in the car or to knit night, so I can just knit and not have to really pay attention to what I'm doing. So it'll probably be a slower project, but I am super excited about them, and the stripy quilty colorway just makes me really, really happy. So it's bringing me a lot of joy right now. The amount of stitches I cast on for the sock is 56 stitches, which is usually an adult small, and I'm using a US 0 as my needle just because I am a looser knitter typically, so the US 0 really kind of tightens up my gauge a little bit, and I do like a more fitted sock, which is why I'm doing the 56 stitches. That's all I have for knitting stuff, but I do have some spinning to share with you guys. Last episode, I talked about Flock and all of my acquisitions from Flock. Well, those two bats that I showed you guys in that episode from Mckenzie at emtothethird have officially been spun, plied, and washed, and I am super happy with how it turned out. Again, it's kind of hard to see because of how dark it is in the office, but it came out as this really beautiful marled tweedy yarn, and I think it looks so good. I had so much fun spinning it too because the bat was such a different fiber prep than what I was used to, so it was super fun to try something new, and I really, really enjoyed it. I definitely felt like I could tell it wasn't as uniform as a comb top, and I felt like that really helped me keep better control over how much twist was going into my fiber, which was really, really nice. But I haven't decided what I'm going to knit with this yet. I think I might just do like a fun pair of socks potentially, because it is about a fingering weight yarn for the most part, and I feel like the tweedy marley aspect of it would make just like some really cute like cabin socks almost. And I do have a little mini skein of one of the bats. This was my scrap yarn from, I ran out of the dark purple fiber, and all I had left was the like heathered tweedy purple fiber. So I went ahead and just did a center pole ball and plied it onto itself, and I got this cute little mini skein, which I think would look cute as like a little pop of like color on the cuff potentially, but we'll see. Yeah, I think it turned out really good. Let me get the yardage info. I haven't weighed them yet because they're freshly dry, but the big skein is 216 yards, and then the mini skein is only 35 yards. I don't know the grams yet, but because the actual bats themselves were both under 2 ounces. So it wasn't quite like a 4-ounce braid exactly. So it makes sense that I haven't gotten like the full like 400 some odd yards that you usually get from like a 4-ounce braid when you're spinning for a sock weight. So, and look how drapey this is. Like, it is really, really drapey. It was super, super nice. I think I'm going to do some socks. I will have to weigh it in order to get my grams to kind of get a better idea of what my weight is on this yarn, but had so much fun spinning it up, and I think it'll be so cool to knit with it as well, especially because it is quite squishy still. I think I talked to you guys last podcast episode that I wasn't sure how I was going to spin it, if I was going to try to do a woolen style drafting, like long draw. I ended up deciding that I just kind of wanted to do the short forward because it was what I was most familiar with, and I didn't want to waste these two really nice bats on a potential new drafting style and it like not go well. So I more wanted to just have a good experience spinning it than try something new and getting frustrated and not having a good time. So I ended up just doing a short forward draft for both of the bats, and I applied them together, and I think it turned out really, really well. I love her so much. She looks so good. It's very, very pretty. Marled Tweedy Dreams. think it's going to be a super cute pair of socks potentially in the future. That's all I have for spinning, but I do have one acquisition to share with you guys. So this acquisition was very much an impulse purchase. I was at knit night and I was sitting in a new location just because it was quite busy, and I had ended up showing up late just because my bus from work was a little bit behind. So I essentially had to like get off my bus, come home, change, and then go to knit night. So I did show up a little bit late and it was quite busy, so there wasn't an available seating where I normally sit. So I was kind of in a new part of the yarn store with some new people, which was super nice to just to talk to some new people. But I happened to, like, I was sitting at this table and I happened to look over, and nestled in this little shelf in a little basket was Zauberball sock yarn, which is a German marled color shifting yarn that I have seen quite a few people knit socks with, and I've always wanted to try it. And I locked eyes with these yarn balls and I was like, I need to buy one, especially because, again, of the tariff and duty policies that are being instated right now. It is going to be probably pretty hard for a lot of yarn stores to be getting international based yarns into their stores right now because of how expensive it is going to be to ship them in. And if they do get them in, it's probably going to be more expensive. Like, the prices are going to go up. And when I looked, there was only 2 balls left, both of which were different colors. So I was like, I've always wanted to try this yarn. I just gotta do it. So I picked one and I bought it, and I'm super, super excited about it. So this is the yarn that I got. Again, it's kind of hard to see because of the lighting. There we go. Kind of. Super pretty. It is very moody. It's got like blues and purples and fuchsias and burnt oranges and browns and taupes in it. The skein actually has what the yarn will potentially look like on the tag, which is super cool. The colorway I purchased, it's all in German. Everything is in German because it's a German brand. But the colorway I got is Zimtschnik, I think. It's Zimtschnecke. And I was curious what that translated to in English, and it translates to cinnamon bun, which I think is really cute and very much does give the fall vibes. So I think this will be super fun to cast on when it's like the weather starts to really turn towards fall. It'll get really crispy and the leaves will start changing. I think this will be really fun to cast on into just like really cute like 3x1 rib socks or something. I think it'll just be super, super fun. So yeah, it's a 75-25, and I think there's like, oh, there's 420 meters per 100 grams. There is almost 460 yards in this. So I could easily get like a pair of super long socks and still have extra, or even make 2 pairs of socks, which my husband kind of really liked these 2, so I wouldn't be surprised if he also asked for a pair of socks in this. But I don't know, I'm really, really excited to try it. I've seen so many like knitters on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram knit socks with Zauberball, and it always just looks so fun in socks. So I'm really, really excited to finally get my hands on it and knit me a really cute pair of like moody fall color changing socks. Really, really excited. I feel like it's gonna bring me a lot of joy in the fall. Okay, so yeah, that's all I have for acquisitions. I'm trying to be good about not buying yarn, especially after the damage that I did at Flock. I have quite a bit of a yarn stash behind me, so I'm gonna try to be really good about knitting with what I have. So hopefully there won't be too many more yarn acquisitions in the future, even though I did buy yarn. It's just not here yet, but you didn't hear me say that. It's fine. It's fine. I didn't say that. Okay, anyway, let's get into some life stuff. For what I'm reading currently, I ended up deciding on DNFing The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. I guess DNFing, or did not finish, is probably a little harsh. I might pick it up later and like restart it again. It really was so hard for me to read it. I just didn't want to. Like, I'm not going to force myself to read something that I don't want to read. And it didn't help that my coworkers at my job, one of them started reading The Serpent and the Wings of Nyaxia by Carissa Broadbent. And she essentially looked at me and she's like, it's Hunger Games, but with vampires. And I was like, sign me up. And the way she described it, it seemed so freaking cool. So then I wanted to read that instead of this book. So I ended up just putting that down because I wasn't going to force myself to read it when I didn't want to read it. And I ended up signing up for a free trial of Kindle Unlimited, and all 4 of the series is on there for free. So now I'm reading The Serpent and the Wings of Nyaxia by Carissa Broadbent. And it is quite literally the Hunger Games, but with vampires. And it almost gives the same vibe as From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, because there's like a human girl who's really sheltered, but she also knows how to like defend herself, and she has her own trauma, and then she meets this vampire, and they both have this like idea of who the other person is in their head, and they both are like super shitty towards each other, then they get to know each other, and you're like, oh, you're not at all like I thought, and they bond and whatever, and it's very obviously like an enemies to friends to lovers kind of situation, and I am enjoying every second of it. It is a very easy read. They're in like a death tournament right now, so there's like all this tension, all this competition, people are dying. It is like the exact opposite of like what the other book was, and I am just like consuming it. Like I am already halfway through this book. A lot of people have read this series and really, really enjoyed it. It's actually a duology. So there's 2 books that are a duology, and then there are 2 more books that follow one of the characters from this series. So it's a total of 4 books, but only 2 go together and only 2 go together. So I think that's kind of nice because like this story is going to wrap up pretty quickly, and then I can jump into the other books and that story is going to wrap up pretty quickly. I love a duology because I feel like because there's not that many books, they're really jam-packed with a bunch of stuff going on, which makes it like, oh my god, I gotta keep reading, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So really, really enjoying it right now. I'm a little over halfway through, so maybe by next episode I'll be on the second book. But I really like it. I think you guys should check it out if you're at all interested in Hunger Games or fantasy, or maybe you just want something that's a little like potato chippy, like there's always something happening. It's pretty good, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, so if you have a Kindle Unlimited subscription, you get to download it kind of for free, it feels like, but I'm really enjoying it. As for shows, I am actually watching the anime Demon Slayer. I'm watching it off of Netflix, but I am really, really liking it. I know it's a pretty popular anime, but I love a good, like, obviously, supernatural inspired show, book, movie, whatever. Like, I loved Supernatural on Netflix from the CW with Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki, 2 brothers that fight supernatural creatures to protect people, like, across the country. Very popular show. If you've never heard of it, I definitely recommend it. There's a bunch of seasons, so if you want something that you can binge, but you're not going to binge through it in a weekend, there you go. It's very similar. Like, it's about these people that go and they hunt demons to protect people, and most people don't even know demons exist. But the main character is a super wholesome, sweet guy, and he is just like trying to find a cure for his sister, and he is just like the sweetest human being, but there still is like the demon slaying aspect of it all. I very much enjoy it. If you have any other anime recommendations that kind of have the same vibe, definitely drop them below. I am like jonesing for some sort of TV show, doesn't necessarily have to be anime, where you're just like on the edge of your seat and you like want to know what's going to happen next kind of thing. I just want something to binge that is like, oh my god, I just have to keep watching. Like, that is what I'm after, and I feel like I haven't found that since like Attack on Titan. So I will take all of your recommendations, drop them down in the comments, because I just am like jonesing for that drama, that like high intensity shit hits the fan kind of thing. So definitely give me your recommendations. Other than what I'm reading and watching right now, not much has been going on. August was a very busy month with Flock and the Hozier concert and my mom coming up. So I really have been taking the last several days to just rest, because I was very much feeling a little burnt out. So I very much was like, I need to just like not do anything. So this past Labor Day weekend was a 3-day weekend for me, and I quite literally did nothing, and it was exactly what I needed. Like, Monday evening, before I went back to work, I was like, oh my god, I feel like a person again, and it was so nice. I very much just needed that time to rest, knit, read, watch TV, not have to do anything, and it was very much needed. So, moral of the story, like, listen to your body, listen to your emotions and your mental strain and like take that rest time when you need it, because I feel like if I hadn't taken that rest time over this past 3-day weekend, I don't know how I would be doing mentally right now. So it's not a bad thing to rest. It's okay to rest and just like veg for a while. Like that is fine, and you need to do what you deserve and what you need. Sometimes we all just need a little rot time for a few days in order to feel like a functioning human being the rest of the week. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. It's kind of a quicker episode because I feel like I'm finally kind of caught up with all my projects, and now that we've got some stuff cast off, we've got some new stuff on the horizon that I'm super excited about, and I'm so excited to share with you guys. If you guys have any fall project plans already on your needles or on the horizon for yourself as well, please drop them down below in the comments. I love seeing what you guys are working on, and I'm also curious to see if we're working on the same projects. So definitely drop them down in the comments and tell me what you're knitting on or what you're planning to knit on for the fall, what yarn you're using. Yeah, I would love to know. Thank you so much for stopping by my little crafty corner of YouTube and sharing your time with me today. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like. That really helps my channel out. And if you would like to see any more knitty videos in the future, go ahead and hit subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon to get any notifications for when I post. See you next time. Bye.